These students have come prepared with one common mission: to impress and conquer with their scientific knowledge, engineering know-how, and creativity. They have to prove that they can apply science theories and concepts that they've learned in their classrooms and textbooks to the challenges posed to them. So who will survive the tough qualifying round, stiff competition, and harrowing elimination to earn themselves a coveted spot among the best and brightest science students in Singapore? It's time to start the competition and find out. Science is everywhere, from the moment you wake up in the morning to the time that you fall asleep at night. Don't believe me? The alarm clock that wakes you, that's science. The toaster that toasts your bread, that's science. And the bus that gets you to school, that's science. Now you get the points, but the truth is, we often take science for granted. But not on this show. In this annual national science event, secondary schools from all over Singapore pit their communication, analytical, and scientific skills, but only one can emerge as the champion of the 14th edition of the National Science Challenge. But of course, it's not just about winning, it's also about the learning journey. Now, to overcome the challenges in this competition, students will have to use their scientific knowledge and their imagination to come up with creative and viable solutions. But before they even find out what these challenges are, students will have to first prove their mettle in the qualifying round. 168 students forming teams of 4, representing 42 schools, turned up for the qualifying round at the Matrix at Biopolis.
We have no idea what the challenge will be, but we are very excited and we will try our best to answer the questions.
Usually what the teachers do is that they'll give us the notes, but we have to do all the work ourselves. So it's not only about just memorizing as many facts as possible, it's also it's to teach us how to be more independent.
We decided to join the National Science Challenge because the students will be exposed to more real-life science activities.
Our team does not have a secret weapon. If there is a secret weapon, we won't tell you at all.
I actually feel quite excited because it's one of the opportunities that we have to kind of display the science knowledge that we have gained throughout the years, and those that our practices during the holidays. It's our hard work, and this is a good opportunity for us.
We have prepared extensively and we are confident that we will succeed.
Just like last year, there are 2 stages, the written test and the demonstration round. But unlike last year, where 16 teams got to compete in the quarterfinals, there are only 12 this year.
45 minutes, and you may now begin.
The students must first complete a written test of 40 questions in 45 minutes. The subjects covered fall into the following categories: biology and life science, applied science, mathematics, chemistry, and physics. So the students have just started their test, and I've requested for a copy just to have a look. Here it goes. Yep, it's really difficult, guys. Seriously, it's so hard. Don't judge me, I'm just a radio DJ. I'm not a science whiz. Should keep to my day job.
I feel very nervous, and with all the other schools here, it makes it a lot more pressurizing than normal school exams.
All of us have different skills, so we hope that we can bring this into the competition this year.
We don't really know what kind of questions they will test, but since we've already prepared, so we are just going to try our best.
In this written test, teams are judged as a whole. This means that the scores of all 4 team members are added together, and the teams with the highest combined scores get to move on to the next stage. It's an intense and hectic battle of the minds versus a time limit. It's quite a mental task to complete the written test while staying cool and collected as the clock ticks down and the deadline approaches.
1 minute remaining. Alright, your time is up. Please put your pencils and papers down and remain seated. Please start passing your answer sheet face down towards the center of your aisle. and we will collect them.
It's quite difficult, I guess.
Yeah, most of it was difficult.
Like the new fancy terms in chemistry, physics, and about this elasticity in this momentum question.
The analytical type that we have never seen before, or it's not in the textbook.
Biology was the most difficult part.
Honestly, I can't really think anymore after the strain of the test, but hopefully I did well.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Now the test papers are in, and it's up to our panel of judges to start the marking, which means the fate of the schools will lie in their hands. In the meantime, we want to set you thinking. Now, if you thought this was just an ordinary piece of glass, you couldn't be more mistaken. This is the window to the future. It's actually a piece of electrochromic glass that also acts as a battery. I know, it's pretty cool, right? So you know what? We're doing extensive research on this wonder glass, and tune in to find out more. Coming up, some teams will be disappointed, while others will be ecstatic as we reveal the schools that advanced to the next stage of the National Science Challenge 2017.
Something very sciencey, something that will be maybe beyond our syllabus, having us to stretch our imagination.
I think it may be something physics related.
I think that they're supposed to do something to solve some everyday issue or solve basically a challenge. Yeah.
Whatever the question, I think we will do our best to answer it to our full ability.
So this piece of glass may power the homes of the future. It's called the electrochromic window. And here is how it works. So during the daytimes when the sun is out, the sunlight will power up the solar panel, which is the solar simulator here. And the electricity will be used to charge up the electrochromic window. And it will darken to block out the sunlight. At night, when the sun is out, the electricity stored in the electrochromic window can be used to power up the lights in your house or the fan in your aircon. So the remaining challenge right now is to manufacture this glass in a cost-effective way and on a large scale, so every house can have this glass in their home.
As the saying goes, if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. Now, what is that going to do with the National Science Challenge? It is getting heated up in here because out of the 42 teams today, only 22 will make it to the next stage. And for those who are slightly mathematically challenged, that's just a little over 50%.
And your time?
Comprising some perennial names and also a few surprises, here are the 22 schools that have made it to the next stage of the competition. I have here with me a rubber ducky. And what teams have to do in this demonstration round is not to make it quack, but to build a vehicle that can carry the duck over the longest possible distance when released from a ramp. Now, if the ducky's safety is violated or compromised, points will be deducted. Also, the higher the construction cost, the more points will be taken from their scores. As you can see, this challenge not only tests their engineering and scientific know-how, it also requires them to watch their budget and think out of the box. So let's have a look at the teams in their quest to giving their duckies the best joyride. Out of the 22 teams that have qualified so far, only 12 will be moving on to the quarterfinals. The tension and anxiety in the air is almost palpable.
By allowing students to participate in the National Science Challenge, students are given more opportunities to expose themselves to this kind of competitions whereby they are placed in a less controlled environment.
It's a good
and great opportunities for them to explore and inspire creativity in terms of using science for daily applications.
We actually took turns to actually suggest some ideas. So what we would do with those ideas is that we would actually theorize and imagine in our heads what would actually happen if we put the idea into effect. And so that's how we actually eliminated different ideas and picked out the best idea from the rest.
Our chances are actually about 50-60%, but we'll nevertheless try our best and see where it goes.
While some teams have finished and are raring to go, a few teams are still frantically racing against time to assemble their vehicles. As the shortlisted teams go all out to impress the judges with their presentation skills and scientific knowledge, the heat of the competition is on. Coming up, the teams put their creations to the test. Stay with us as we find out who has put together the best solution to the challenge posed. Welcome back. Now, the teams may have figured out a way to assemble a vehicle with the lowest cost possible to send their ducky on a joyride safely down the ramp. But do they have more than just scientific know-how to deliver a knockout presentation to the judges? Now, before we check in on how teams fare in this crucial round of elimination, let's have a look at the panel of judges who will be dishing out the scores.
Today I'll be looking at how well students can explain scientific concepts. Because if you can't explain something simply, you do not understand it.
Today I would like to see how students use their creativity to solve engineering problems.
Today I'm looking for students who can play well in a team to solve an engineering problem.
Today I'll be examining the team's strategy, how they optimize costs while aiming towards their goal. I'm looking out for solutions that are non-intuitive and that come from students that think outside the box.
For this year, I'm looking at winning teams that can best demonstrate their creativity, innovation, and of course, teamwork.
This year, I'm looking for teams that show us a lot of innovation and creativity.
Good afternoon, judges. My name is Jun Hui.
I'm Leslie.
I'm Nicholas.
I'm Yuchuan.
And we are from
Catholic High School. We are from Temasek JC.
We are Valley High School.
Pasir Ris Crest, and this is our vehicles.
Good afternoon, judges. We are from Nanhua High School.
We are from Fort Secondary School. We are from Dunman High School.
Today we'd like to present to you our project ideas.
In this project, we created this car. So we had two main considerations in this project. First, whether you want kinetic friction where two things rub against each other, or second, whether you want rolling friction where two things roll against each other.
In addition to friction, what are some other factors affecting the stopping distance of your vehicle?
There will be two factors. Firstly, the weight of the vehicle itself, because if the vehicle is supposed to be heavier, then you have more gravitational potential energy, which means when it slides down the ramp, it will go further.
We also had to try to make sure that the vehicle does not veer off course and veer off the track. How we do this is to ensure that both ends have the same diameter.
When choosing our materials, we considered cost and efficiency. Plastic bottles were very costly at $25, more so than the cups combined at $20, so using the cups was more cost efficient. I think they did pretty well. I could see them working well in the team in general, and even under time pressure they could come up with creative solutions.
I was really happy that some groups thought out of the box, and instead of creating a classic car with 3 wheels and little bottle caps as the wheels, they thought of the entire vehicle as the wheel in itself.
Wow, good job. Ooh. That is unexpected.
Don't worry, you still have marks from your presentation. 3, 2, 1.
Can I adjust it one more time?
Sure. 1. Wow.
So I let go, okay? Do you want me to loosen the thing again?
It's loosen.
Okay. So I just let go,
Yeah,
okay?
yes.
1, 2, 3.
What? Okay, never mind.
Hey, good job.
So I was trying to see whether or not they will be able to think outside of the box and not over-engineer, because like a lot of times things are simpler than they seem, and the solution's a lot simpler than it seems. One of the things that my teacher told me once was, don't think too much.
I think the judges posed us very hard questions, but we are able to answer them, so I think that part went well.
Luckily it did move, but it didn't move as far as we wanted it to be.
3, 2, 1.
I was very impressed with ACSI. They were the only team, in my perception, that answered the question of friction correctly. They pointed out that friction was necessary to cause rolling, and they actually needed friction in order to achieve a rolling without slipping motion.
Since friction acts opposite the direction of motion, it will be helping the object move along the surface, so that wasn't one of our concerns.
I was really impressed with the design put up by Temasek Junior College. It was the simplest, yet it functioned the best.
I think the teams where they use like 2 cups to hold the duck rather than go for a car or that sort of vehicle. I think simplicity is the answer here because there's like less chances for errors or risks. So they were able to achieve the goal without incurring too much cost, and I guess that's kind of the spirit of the challenge, to find the optimal solution, and they managed to do it.
So I really think that students at such a young age having scientific literacy is one of the most stunning things of these sort of events. And I really think that many of these kids came up with innovative ideas. That is what we actually need in our current times.
The presentation went quite well, I would say. We didn't have any hiccups or any problems that were unexpected. So overall it was not bad.
They said our model looked very interesting and it was creative, as we only used one material, which was quite unprecedented. Like when we looked at the other teams' models, they used multiple parts and were a lot more complicated than our one. But ours, it was very simple, so our cost was low, and that was an advantage. And besides, it managed to roll over 1 meter plus, which was a little more than we expected it would roll.
Wow, good job.
It allows them to build their confidence level as they learn to work with maybe people from other schools, as well as learning to communicate their ideas to strangers.
The qualifying round has finally come to an end. It has been a long and exhausting day for the teams. They've been put to the test, had to think on their feet, and make an impression that will get them to the quarterfinals next week. There can only be 12 teams. Who makes the cut?
It has been a very tough competition for everybody, and I know that all of you are very excited as well. So we managed to tally up the scores, and now we're going to announce the 12 teams that are going to proceed to the quarterfinal.
I think we got through mostly because of the written round, because like our vehicle didn't go that far, as far as we wanted it to go.
We feel quite accomplished. We feel quite proud.
We feel quite good.
And we feel honoured to be able to take on more challenges and be exposed to more science.
We try our best.
Yeah, we do our best.
We try to win it all.
Definitely we can win it all.
NSC is a really prestigious competition, and so on one hand, the students we send, we really believe they have the potential to hold their own against other brand name schools who participate. At the same time, on the other hand, it's never about the end goal, it's about the journey and the process to get there. And we believe our students really learn a lot through the process. Disappointment's really just part of that journey, and it's something they're going to have to experience in life.
We were a little disappointed that we didn't really get in, but it was okay because mainly we didn't have enough preparation. But other than that, it was a great experience for us.
And there you have it, our top 12 teams for the National Science Challenge 2017. And there you have it, our top 12 teams for the National Science Challenge 2017. Next week, they'll be battling it out in the quarterfinals. What interesting and innovative challenges are in store for our top 12? You just gotta tune in to find out. Till then, science!